Hello, welcome to cast number 2. I'm building a Gutenberg block. And the first one was setting up our development environment. For this, you'll need a WordPress site, a code editor, development tools, and you'll need to know that plugins directory for the WordPress site. For the plugin, we'll create a plugin. Right now, we're just going to stub everything out and get everything in place so we can have a spot to put all our code and get going. So let's dive in. We're going to work in our plugins directory here, and this is just the folder inside of local. So local sites for me might be slightly different for your install depending on where local installs it. And in here I'm going to create a folder to contain my plugin. The block I want to create is going to be a QR code block, which will be kind of cool. We'll see if I can get it working and screencast as I go. Inside the folder, we're going to create a file, and we'll call that, let's call it QR code block PHP. And then to create a WordPress plugin, you need a specific header to show in the comments. So if you search for WordPress plugin header, this first link will describe and show you what all is needed inside of that header block, and it's just a comment and just describes the plugin you're making. So I usually just copy and paste out of there. Also, I have a snippet and created that will insert it myself. So it's kind of a nice little shortcut I do. Let's use that one. It's a little bit shorter, and it has some of my pieces in place. It's going to be a QR code block. And that is all we need to create a WordPress plugin. If we go to our installed site and WP admin, we'll log in. And remember, password, just password. Remember me, so I won't have to do it again. Then under plugins, it will list the plugin we just created, and I need to activate it. So you can have plugins installed and not activated, and then the code won't run. And then when activated, any of the code inside of this PHP file will run. And that's it. We have nothing's happening in here, but we do have a plugin and it's working. So the next step, we'll want to create the JavaScript for creating a block. So when you go to a new post, so this is Gutenberg editor. So we need to create the JavaScript, a file to hold the JavaScript we're going to create the block. So to do that, we're also going to build our JavaScript. So first thing we want to do in npm init, and this just walks through what's this called? A prompts to create a package JSON file, and I'll explain what that is. Block to insert QR codes. This isn't too important. I'm going to skip all this for now. So after you go through that, so npm init, and then it will create a package.json file, and it looks like this. And just the same thing. You can copy and paste. Doesn't matter if I run it there, if I copied and pasted it in. Right now, let's have that empty. We'll talk about that. And this one doesn't much matter for what we're doing. Our code's going to live there. And then I can put my name here. It doesn't much matter. You can change license and other stuff too. There's other entries you can put in a package JSON. So once that's created, to build our script, we want to use, there's a package that WordPress has created called WordPress scripts. And it has bundled up all the tools we need to build JavaScript for Gutenberg. And what this command says is, okay, npm is the node package manager, install this package, and the save dev will write out this package to the package.json file. So it's going to go through, it's going to find all the dependencies required for the WordPress scripts package and install them. And then it's going to write out an entry into my package JSON file that says, this project needs this package to load. And so that's kind of what the package.json file is. It's like the definition for my project. It takes a little while. The scripts directory will install everything needed to build the full Gutenberg, regardless of if you're using the features or not. It's kind of a one-size-fits-all. But it's kind of nice because it handles all the configuration and all the pieces, so we don't have to worry much about that at all. So if I look at my package JSON, it was automatically updated. And there's something called dev dependencies and dependencies. We're just going to use dev dependencies because we're building a script and shipping that. It's kind of more important for different node applications. So our entry is there, and then it will, let's look at the top. It downloaded all the requirements and put them in a node modules directory. So if you look in there, you can see all the different JavaScript packages required. It's not that important what's in there. And then the other file it created was a package lock, which says these are the packages I installed at this version. So the next step for the scripts directory, it will run, we're not going to do any custom configurations. So what we can do, let me just type this out and I can talk about it. WP scripts build, and then and start. So when this installed the binaries we need for this, and so inside package JSON, the scripts property, just a property of this definition, each entry in there can be run by running npm run and then whatever that name we put there. So npm run build, or run this command. I run npm run start, I'll run that command. So that's all we're doing here. And these commands will automatically build, and it looks for a JavaScript file. And this is by the default configuration. If you look under, create a directory called source, and create a file in there called index.js. So this is all in that top in my plugins directory. So my QR code block directory is a plugin called source, and then inside of that directory is a file called index.js. It's empty right now, it's fine. So now when I run npm run build, it will look for that file and try to build it. The fun thing is, even though it's empty, it will actually build something. So let's queue that up, and we'll. So for WordPress, it will, you add actions and filters, and it kind of goes through the life cycle. When it's loading a page, it'll run different actions and filters. Is kind of how WordPress works. It's kind of great. It allows you to like hook into different spots and run your code in different areas. One of the main ones is init. So when WordPress is loading a page, it hits an init section and it wants to load some stuff up. So when init comes, we want it to run this function, and in this function we'll tell it to load our scripts. So we're going to register our script, and here you just give it a what's called a handle. We'll call this QR code block script. Handle, just a unique name for this script, but then you can refer to it later. And then you want to define where that file is. There's a function called plugins URL, and which will be kind of this current directory of where this file is. So the syntax is that. And so that's going to say, for this script name, it relates to this file name, which is our file that we built up there. And this just says plugins URL, says look from this file, give us a full URL for that. And the next two parameters are dependencies and version number. The dependencies are any dependencies that we need to run the script. Depend in dependencies. Looks like the right word. And then version. And version is used to for the browser to break the browser cache. So if you update the file, you'll update that version number. So where I'm getting those variables from is from this asset file that got created during the build. So if I look in there, there's a dependencies. I can just copy that word out. Spelled it right. And then version. And so if I load this file, plugin path, I believe is a similar. I think you do it like this. And you can look up the functions if you don't know PHP well. And that looks like I'm matching all my brackets. So this says is go to this directory, find this file, load it into this variable. It's kind of a little bit different than standard PHP or standard WordPress because this is just returning. It's not defining the variable in here, it just returns the array. So when you load the file, it'll just return the array into this variable. And in there we'll set a dependencies, which now is just a polyfill, which just is compatibility for browsers. And then the version number, which is based on the timestamp of the file. Let's save that. If I go to my post and load it, I should still work without errors. Nothing's really happened yet. I check my errors. If you do, I use F12 on my keyboard. Opens the DevTools, and this will give you any JavaScript errors, anything like that. If you go under console, it gives you the JavaScript errors. So now we want to actually load that JavaScript in the editor. You can do it a couple different ways. The kind of recommended way, if you're doing a simple block, is there's a function called register block type. You give it the name of your block. You should prefix it with the namespace, and then what you're going to name the block. And the namespace is just a unique name. So if someone else wanted to create a QR code block and give it their name, you can put that name there. I just use my username. For my work, I use our company name there, or a product name. And then in here, we're going to load a, it's called editor script. We want it to be a variable. And that's going to point to our handle here. So this says register a new block, and this is our block name. And then for this block, we need the editor script, load this JavaScript here based on that handle, and we'll find that file. So now if I save that, and I load, we got a typo. Line 28. I didn't close something properly. What did I need a semicolon. And there we go. Check this, no errors. We can confirm that we're building and doing everything. But let's actually write some JavaScript. Console log is a very simple, just a very most basic print something out script. Hello. And we'll just put it into that console log we're testing. So now we will want to build. After you update, if you edit in here, you want to build it. You can build like so, and it will build it, update, and it will add. This will be the new built file, and then this will actually have, if I look at the very back of this, it probably just says console log hello. So now when I reload the page, I should see a hello right there. Now that can be a little bit tedious. So that's what the second function we created was start. What start does is watch that file. So if you do npm run start, it will build and then it will watch that file for any changes. So if I come into my file, my source file, and I type in, let's change it to say Hola Mundo, it rebuilt it over there. Then I can come over here and reload, and I've rebuilt that file for me. So now I can come here, I can do all my edits, make any changes, save it, automatically rebuilds, reload over here, and I get those changes. I think with those pieces in place, we are ready to actually start building a block. So to recap, we created a plugin. So first we created a PHP file, added the header. We added our package JSON, which defines our project. And our one dependency is going to be the build script. We defined our scripts we needed. And we started with kind of an empty JavaScript to get built. And back in our PHP, we load that JavaScript on the editor page. So with that, I think we are set to start building some blocks. So with that, I'll see you next time. Thanks so much.